right, so we are at the, what's it called, Beaver Meadow Visitor Center.
Yeah, I think so.
We're near Estes Park. We've been here for a while. One of the things the kids really wanted to do while we're here is the Junior Ranger program, which we got started on right away. And they've got their badges, I guess the second day we were here. But they've been continuing to want to go to these educational programs to learn more about different animals and different things in the park. So we are actually going to our last educational program right now. It's called Bear Necessities. If you're coming to Estes Park or the Rocky Mountain National Forest with your kids, look into the Junior Ranger program, because there are programs every day, all throughout the day, all throughout the park. And in my opinion, they're very well done. After we go to this last one, we'll get the little ones' opinions on what they thought of all the different sessions of the Junior Ranger program.
What about you guys?
We saw Wyoming ground squirrels and a lot of elk.
Nice.
Tell them about the elk last night.
Oh, there was elk in our campground, and they were just walking through everyone's
Which
yard.
campground is that?
Spruce Lake. Spruce Lake, right down here.
Oh, in Estes Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some that are down here, but most of them have moved up, to the high country and stuff. National Park, and welcome to Bear Necessities. My name is Diana, and I'm a seasonal ranger here in this very, very special place. And I'm really happy to be here. This is my first season here. I've been at other parks. All right, so when I say the word bear, what immediately comes into your mind?
Bears.
What about it?
I don't know.
What comes into your head? What do you think or feel? Bear. Nothing. I guess nothing comes into your mind when you hear the word bear. All right. We'll see if we can change that today. Okay. Yes.
I feel anxious because I want to see one, and I'm scared because it might be close.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much for sharing that. Yes, and I think that's what a lot of people feel like. They really want to see it. That's one of the most common questions in some places. Where can I see a bear? And of course, we cannot tell anybody where you can see a bear because they have big territories and stuff. But then you get a little bit anxious because you want to see the bear, but you don't want to see it too close, right? And we'll talk about some of those things as we go along. So what I'm going to ask you to do, first of all, so today we're going to talk about bears and their place in the park and how to deal with them and all of that kind of stuff. But you have noticed I have some photos. What I'm going to ask you guys to do is to get up and walk around and just look. There's 7 photos. There's one behind you on the wall. And pick which one speaks to you the most and go stand by that.
Who did you like? Which bear speaks to you the most? Teddy Bear, Yogi Bear, Pooh Bear? None of them? Okay, we can stay here with me then.
There's Smokey the Bear.
Because Pooh Bear was who I liked when I was a kid.
Winnie the Pooh, Yogi Bear.
And you guys are
Bear Bear,
Yogi. Those two are Yogi Bear.
Bears. Which one do you like the most, Jack? You don't know?
Just
Pick one.
Pick one.
Oh, they also have Care
All right.
Bears.
Okay, so very good. So you all picked one. So we don't have time for everybody to share, but if one person in each group could kind of give us a little bit about why you picked them. So why did you pick Yogi?
I picked Yogi because my dad and I watched it a lot when I was little.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, so it has a sentimental value to you. Okay, do you have anything real quick?
I like it.
Okay, so Winnie the Pooh. Why did you pick Winnie?
I had the books when I was little.
He wanted to go out and he wanted to hunt a bear. Okay, and so I don't know exactly where he was. I have to do a little bit more research. But he was in this place, and what they did is they set this bear up, and I don't know, they like drugged it and put it in this place so that Teddy could come and shoot it. And Teddy came and said, "What? Are you kidding?" He said, "No way."
That's messed up.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. That's what he said. That's messed up. And then he came out as a proponent of, the bears and how to treat them and their wild animals. And then the teddy bear became very, very popular. So you can see how in our in our culture, bears have a great deal of influence from, you know, politics and conservation to stories about danger and to things when we're little kids, you know, about touchy-feely stuff. Yogi Bear with your sentimentality. All of these things, you know, play a huge part because bears have been around for thousands of years with people, right? And Native Americans, many of them considered the bear a kindred spirit. And they also talk about grandfather bear. They have a lot of respect for the bears that they have lived with for hundreds of thousands of years. In many cultures this is true. We also have bears in our skies, right? So we have the constellations, the Big Bear and the Little Bear, Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, that we sometimes call the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper. And they're right up there looking over us. Okay, so we can see that bears have a huge impact. How are bears like us? How's a bear like you? It can walk on two legs sometimes. And this is actually, I have a photograph. This is a bear up on two legs. And they don't usually walk for long distances on two legs, but they can stand up. And does anyone have any idea why they might stand up? Why would you stand up? Yeah.
To look for food.
For what?
To look for food.
To look for food?
To see.
To see better? Their eyesight is about the same as ours. You know, they're not, you know, keen-eyed like the hawk and all of that, but their eyesight is eyes. But sometimes, you know, we do this, don't we? You know, we kind of try and make ourselves taller so we can see what's going on. And there's something else that the bear is doing when he stands up.
It smells.
Take a look at this. Good thing it's a replica. Look at this. This is the nasal cavity of the bear. What do you think about that?
big.
Somebody want to pass this around for me? Show other people? You want to do that? All right. Bears have a nasal cavity that has a surface area 100 times greater than ours. Bears can smell 7 times better than bloodhounds. Wow. So when that bear is standing up, what is it doing? It is sniffing, it's smelling, it's trying to figure out what's going on around it, trying to figure out, you know, what's in front of it. And it's also looking for food, like you were talking about. Bears can smell food from 5 miles away. They can smell food, you know, a week after the food was there. Really, really good smellers. Okay, so how else are bears like us? They're both mammals, so they have fur and they have mammary glands and all of this kind of stuff. They give live birth. How else are they like us? Yes?
Some bears like honey.
They do like honey. I like that one. Yes, they do. They like a lot of the same foods that we do, don't they? And we'll talk more about that particular aspect later. Okay, how are bears different from us?
They don't have opposable thumbs.
They don't have opposable thumbs.
They just they just like have claws.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But they have 5 digits, but they're not opposable, so you can pass that around. So that is a bear paw print. You can see how big that is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's they can. And the other thing that's interesting is, you know, like elk and deer. What do they walk on? They walk on their toes, basically, right? When you look at that, like horses do and stuff. But bears, just like humans, they walk on the flats of the ends of their arms and stuff and legs. Okay. So what else? How else are bears like us? Yeah.
They hunt for their food.
They do. They hunt for their food. They do. And sometimes they hunt in ways that we're not so happy about these days. But we'll talk again about that later. All right, let's talk a little bit about, yeah. They're omnivores. Very, very good. In fact, bears, it's like over 85% of their diet consists of vegetation, like berries and acorns and tender shoots and all this kind of stuff, and insects. Okay, and only a small portion is actually, you know, of other kinds of animals other than insects and stuff. They eat a lot of insects. So I want to talk a little bit about the life cycle of a bear. Oh, actually, before we do that, we have the skull here. And I don't know if any of you took a look at this. Look at their teeth. Okay? Is that like our teeth or not?
It is.
Yes.
Molars.
Okay, I heard both a yes and a no. How are they like our teeth?
The molars.
They have molars. Feel in your mouth. What do you have? You have molars. And then in the front, you have, this one's kind of gotten broken, but you can see here, incisors, right? Just like ours. And they also
Like
have
fangs.
canine teeth like ours. But what's different about theirs?
Much longer.
Yeah, they're a little bit bigger than ours. A little bit bigger than ours. All right. So they're omnivores and they have teeth that are very similar to ours. All right. So for a bear, the life cycle of a bear starts. We'll start in the spring when they come out of hibernation, and they don't actually go into a true hibernation. Because to go to a true hibernation, the body temperature drops like 40 degrees and the animal is just there for the duration. Bears, their temperature drops maybe 10 degrees, but they can wake up in the middle of the winter and they can go out and walk around. They can actually go out and find something to eat if there's anything to eat that's around.
You cannot drop that.
Okay? But then, so they wake up probably in about April. And what do you think they want to do when they wake up? Eat. They haven't eaten for 6 months probably, right? They've lost 20 to 40% of their body weight over that hibernation period. All right, so they want to eat. So that's what they do. So in April, they're going to go out and they're going to find all those tender young shoots, all the new things that are coming out. Because they have a digestive tract like ours as well. They don't have multiple stomachs like the deer and the moose and the elk and stuff, so they can only digest, tender greens. So they go out for those tender greens in May and April. And then in May and June is when you have mating season. So the males and females, they'll do a little courtship kind of thing. And then they will mate. And the females can mate with more than one male and can actually have cubs from more than one male as well at the same time. Yes, and one of the reasons, food is pretty plentiful in May. They're trying to build up their body weight, get it back to where it was before and stuff. But they also do that little bit of mating there. And they do it then in May and June, and mainly in May and June, because then later, we'll talk about that, they have to do something that they have to do all the time. So then you get May and June, you start getting some other things, the shoots get kind of tougher, so they start looking at more insects and this kind of stuff. And then in the summer, later in the summer, they go for berries, and then later in the fall, the acorns and the nuts that are just amazing. That's what they really bulk up on. So later in the summer, they go through a phase that's something that's called hyperphagia. So what's hyper? A lot of, right? Okay, hyper is a lot of something. Phagia. Phagia, huh?
Oh, a lot of energy, that's why I was going to say a lot.
That's right, that's what hyper active, right? Okay, but when you're hyperphagic, what you are is, phagic refers to eating. So they go into this hyper eating stage where they eat up to 20,000 calories a day. They can spend 20 hours a day eating. Why? Yeah. So they can hibernate. So they go into this in the late summer, early fall, so that they can get their body weight back up so that they can then hibernate. Now when they mated back in May and June, the eggs that they produce, the fertilized eggs, will not implant in the uterus of the female bear at that time. They'll just kind of hold off, and they'll wait actually until November when the bear goes back into hibernation. And if that bear has eaten enough and has enough to support that, then the egg will implant and start developing. So it's quite amazing. So then when the bears go back into hibernation, so they go into hibernation, and the females that are pregnant, and if they ate enough, so they have enough food, they will actually give birth, usually in January or February, to their babies, if everything
The
worked out
gestation
right.
is only a couple of months.
Well, yes. Because when they are born, well, let me tell you before we get to that, sometimes, and I know all of us women here are going to be amazed at this, sometimes the bears give birth in their sleep.
That is crazy.
Now, those of us who have had children might find that hard to believe. And you can think about the shorter gestation period, it depends if they count it from when it was conceived to when it was born, as to when it was planted and then born. So you'd have to look at those two different time periods. Okay, so when a baby bear is born, it weighs about 8 ounces. How much did your baby's bear weigh? Ooh, that was pretty small too. But for most of us, it's more like 8 pounds, versus 8 ounces. So that's why we don't sleep through it. Okay, all right. This is a can of, I'm not quite sure what it is, some kind of soup or something. And this is about 10.5 ounces. So you can pass that around. We'll go this way, all right? And see how much a tiny baby bear weighs. And you can see I have some photographs here, and we can pass these around of little tiny baby bears. They can have from 1 up to 5 cubs. Here is a little newborn tiny bear cub. All right? So pass those around. So the babies will stay with them for the whole of the next summer, through the winter, and the whole of the next summer will hibernate with her, and then the following summer, part of the summer, and then they'll go off on their own.
Will they make
This, and something else that bears do, black bears actually evolved over time. They're a North American bear, and they evolved over time in the company of some really bad dudes. Some really great big bears and saber-toothed tigers and all kinds of other really aggressive predators. And they evolved to be more timid. We have here, this is a bear pelt. Anyone want to model it for us?
Want to wear it?
You can take that around and show everybody. And if you look at this bear pelt, this will have, if you look close, it'll be little soft hairs close to the skin that help keep them warm, and then there'll be the guard hairs on the outside. So they can stay really warm in a lot of cold conditions. We're going to use that bear pelt a little bit later too. We're going to do an activity with that. So bears are quite amazing creatures. So what do we have to do in order to make sure that the bears can stay wild? Yeah. Not build on it. We need to make sure that we keep our wild land so that the bears can have the habitat that they need. And this is my question for you. Whose responsibility is it to make sure that those bears stick around?
Ours.
The parks?
And
And yours?
Government?
The humans.
The humans, okay? But so you need to think about what you personally can do that will help bears and other wildlife in the places where you live as well. And pay attention to how you live where you are, because remember, now in many places we're living in the places where the wild animals used to live. So we have to be careful with that. So I thank you for coming today, and I hope you have a great stay here in Rocky Mountain National Park. Thank you very much.
All right, guys, so we just finished all of the Junior Ranger programs that we're going to be able to do this trip. So we're going to start with Jack. Jack, what was your favorite thing that we've done in the Junior Ranger program so far? Speak up loud.
I'm like getting my Junior Ranger badge.
Getting your badge. That's pretty cool too. How about you,
Because
Peyton?
it was my favorite thing to do my favorite thing that we did was probably learning about the junior firefighters.
Junior firefighters, and what'd you get when you did that?
We got a junior firefighter patch.
And do you remember what day and time that's on at?
On
Thursdays at 10 a.m.
Thursday.
at the Junior Ranger headquarters. All right, stand up, Jack, and show them your Junior Ranger badge that you got. It's pretty cool, huh? You don't have your patch with you, do you?
No.
We'll have to take a picture of that patch. All right. So Landon, what was your favorite thing about the Junior Ranger program?
Getting my badge and the Bear Necessities.
The Bear Necessities that we just saw was pretty cool about bears. We haven't seen a bear yet, though.
No.
Wish we would. Cool. All right. So, Everybody, thumbs up or thumbs down to the Junior Ranger program? Thumbs up. Thumbs up. All right.